Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, and welcome to episode number 40 of the Backmarkers F1 Show. This podcast is recapping the 2019 Bahrainian Grand Prix, and we'd like to start the show with a minute of silence for Charles Leclerc.
Maybe Renault too.
What about Renault? Poor guys.
Well, it was
Danny Kvyat, jeez. Danny Ricciardo almost got electrocuted today. That's really what our main focus should be. We can't have an Aussie getting hurt.
Well, I thought it was just a middle finger to Red Bull that they were trying to do. Just,
why? Being like, why?
Bad.
Because they broke down, so it'd just be Red Bull's middle finger to them.
No, Red Bull would have made podium if they hadn't broken down and there was no safety car.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah. Well, he was closing in right away.
Yeah. I think it was in the second lap, second final lap, he would have made it to podium.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty disappointing, to be honest with you, to have these Ferrari headphones on today, because I think that, once again, Ferrari just found a way to bottle it, even though it's the second race
I think
of
the
season.
racing world in general is pretty disappointed by Charles Leclerc not getting his first place and podium both at the same time.
But, like, we know he's going to win for the next 15 years constantly, so, like, we should be okay with it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's got a great future ahead of him for sure.
He dominated the whole weekend, and
yeah,
for something like that to go on, it's the same issue Ricciardo had in Monaco last year. It's just Monaco's a very tight circuit that you can't really pass around, and Bahrain has 3 DRS zones.
Yeah, they lost 160 horsepower, I think they were saying.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Now, it's the MGUK, right?
Yeah.
I heard it was MGUH.
Sorry,
yeah.
MGUH.
So that takes heat energy from the exhaust, from the hot exhaust, and then also converts it into electrical energy to be used. But I heard different things. I heard one thing, but like they're all connected, right? Because I heard somebody said it was the turbo, and then I heard the other one was the the MGUH. But I mean, they're all connected. So
yeah.
But I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more within the next couple of days and what actually happened. So
it is 160 horsepower though when you lose either one. So
yeah,
that's I mean,
he was like 40K down in the straights, which
Well, it's not the same failure as 2 weeks ago, right? At Australia that Vettel had, sorry?
We're not sure.
No,
I don't think so.
Yet, eh?
Apparently, it sounded throughout the weekend that they had cooling issues in Australia and that the car was being cooled too quickly and was being cooled too much, and that was the reason why they had all the issues. I don't know what this issue was, but I remember when we were talking about this last week that it could be possibly some sort of, issue with the power unit.
Right.
That sort of leads me to believe that there is still some sort of lingering issue from the power unit, because for the second race in the season to already have engine issues like this.
2 engine issues.
Right.
Pretty much.
And Renault dealing with the same things. MGUK failure in the first race. Obviously a massive failure with both cars in this race.
Yeah, Nico's car literally blew up.
That was
his engine blew up.
What I heard, it was Daniel Ricciardo was just completely shut off.
Yeah,
it was a little different than what Hülkenberg had, so...
Yeah, and we were talking about this to clarify with everybody. So he was sort of in trouble because anytime you crash or you have to retire the car, you got to reattach the steering wheel so that the stewards can maneuver the car. Yeah, but he didn't. But the reason why is because if you noticed on one of the shots on the broadcast, the car was just on its own and the red light was blinking. So it was not safe to approach. So basically, Ricciardo didn't feel like getting electrocuted just to put his steering wheel back on.
Yeah, he had to jump out of the car pretty much. Well, like, he couldn't go step down off the car. He had to stand on the nose or wherever he stood on. Yeah, and physically jump off with 2 feet so that he didn't touch the car and the ground at the same time.
Yeah.
So I know they practiced that because obviously very dangerous situation.
Yeah, with the new generation of cars, this is an issue. Obviously, beforehand, pre 2014, you wouldn't really have to. Or although they had it. Yeah, they had KERS back in those days too.
No, they still had the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
they've had that issue. Well, not that issue, but they've had this scenario for a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting back to Charles Leclerc, I guess that's where we can start really in the whole race. Just by the way,
what a best race of the year.
Yeah,
not many to choose from, right? But
I mean, I said it last week too. But I mean, that best race of the year.
No, I agree. It was good. It was definitely more interesting than Australia.
Yeah, but that's known, right? Because Australia is more of a street circuit. But it was very entertaining front to back and throughout the whole field. Like, even the Williams were passing each other.
That's about it. They couldn't really pass anybody else.
Well, you know what? I have a silly stat for you because the Williams did get a podium today.
For how?
Williams were on the podium. In fact, if I pull up my stat sheet, they came second. Robert Kubica in the DHL Fastest Pit Stop Award.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good for them. Good for them.
1/100th of a second away from Max Verstappen's Red Bull, a 2.18 second pit stop. It earns him 18 points. Fun fact: George Russell was 9th, 2.68.
Well, good for Williams.
So Williams, they were 100th of a second away from winning the Fastest Pit Stop Award. So good for them. A round of applause for Williams for doing well.
They got something going.
Something you can build off of.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually, just quickly on Williams, they weren't as bad as
they were
Australia. So, and they've got Patrick Head coming back, who's pretty much, the wizard of, when he came in, I think in the 80s or so. So he's going to be coming back out of retirement in sort of a consultory role with Williams.
Hey, man, please come back. We really need you.
Well, he's a no-nonsense type of guy.
At this point.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Hopefully they can kind of come out of this hole. But, getting back to Leclerc, I mean, like you guys said, he dominated every single session with the exception of, I think, FP2, that Vettel was P1. It was either FP2 or FP3, but Ferrari definitely found their pace again. They were 1 and 2 the entire weekend. They locked out the front row of the grid in qualifying. I mean, Mercedes weren't too far behind in Q3, but I mean, it was still a decent gap.
Yeah, 3/4 tenths, 2 tenths.
I think it was 3. Yeah, around 3 tenths.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, yeah, Vettel was 3 tenths behind Leclerc. It was tough for him because he didn't have an extra set of tires in Q3, so he had to just do it in one run. Regardless, though, Leclerc put in an exceptional lap.
New track record.
That's right.
Yep.
And we all thought that
127, 127.9, 127.8. I think you got to.
Yeah, I think it was 127.8. Yeah,
I
think he was the only person to hit 127.
Yep.
Everybody else was 128.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we all thought Ferrari's back, championship is back on track.
Well, they were.
What could go wrong?
I mean, in terms of strategy and everything, they had everything going for them. Everything, was going really well until the last 10 laps.
Yeah,
like 10 laps. 10 laps.
Well, once Vettel spun in turn 4 with his battle with Lewis, it kind of just all went.
I thought there was a touch in that, but nothing at all. Yeah,
not at all.
I was really surprised.
It's so frustrating to watch Vettel. I mean, I didn't think I don't know if the pressure's already getting to him in the second race of the season, but once again, he's showing that his biggest weakness is wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yeah,
and
or just silly mistakes.
Yeah,
like he's always
in
those scenarios, he's spinning.
It's just a weird lockout of tires, and just just the circumstance where he needs the most.
Well, I know there's a lot of crosswinds and stuff like that too.
Yeah, but I heard it was super windy on the track. For sure,
which obviously will play a factor into it.
Yeah. Well, I think Lewis was talking about that too. He took him over when there was this huge wind going that way. So.
I do believe that was the issue when in turn 4 because there were crosswinds there. I think that he was just a bit punchy on the throttle, and then that mixed in with the crosswinds.
A little too happy.
Mission spin now is back in effect for Vettel and Ferrari. But man, he's got a young teammate alongside him. He's a 4-time world champion, but he didn't look like it today.
No, he didn't.
No,
it definitely looked like Charles Leclerc.
Although his start was fantastic.
He did have a really good. I think it was the first 3 or 4 laps he did really well, and then Charles took over again.
Yeah,
that I expected, to be honest with you. That was my biggest thing with Leclerc. Even in the formation lap, you see he kind of got bogged down, and Hamilton had to kind of almost back off from him. So I expected Vettel to get a better start. I think that side of the track actually had more grip because Valtteri jumped Lewis too.
And I heard Charles didn't get his tires up to temp for the formation lap that he wanted.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah. No,
he was. He almost got down to P4.
Yeah,
which is why it was so incredible that he just came back. After I think about a lap and a half, he got all the temperatures back up to optimal.
He was 20 seconds ahead?
No, I think it was 8 or 9. I think at the highest over Sebastian.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think he was that far ahead.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the
Valtteri.
Yeah,
Valtteri.
Exactly what I'm thinking of.
Lapping the whole field.
Yeah,
but it's just I don't know what's going to happen with Sebastian Vettel this year, because if he doesn't, I think it's make or break in terms of winning the championship for him this year. Because for Ferrari, it was interesting watching on Saturday the qualifying. The entire team was just so happy when he got pole position. Obviously, rightfully they should be, but it was interesting because Vettel kind of turned into the Kimi Räikkönen of the team because that's what usually happened with, Sebastian. They would be so happy for him, and Kimi was sort of just in the background, and I want to say isolated, but it was always seemed like Seb was the number one. And on Saturday, it seemed like Charles Leclerc was the number one driver.
I think everyone just kind of felt for him on his side. This young kid coming in and first pole. I think it was just more the emotions of everyone taking over rather than favoring a driver, in my opinion.
I feel that. But I do agree with Kimi and Vettel last year. It was kind of a different situation. They were both older drivers, so one of them
had a 1 and 2.
You had a 1 and 2. Where this year it's kind of like you got a very young driver who's got a whole bunch of potential, and Vettel's a world champion. So it's kind of hard to
But I could see them favoring Leclerc if Vettel keeps doing these kind of stupid mistakes.
Well, I could see them favoring whoever's in leading the championship, or who are the closest, right? I think that's what's going to come down to.
Well, different team principle this year too, right? So they can different strategy completely from last year that we're seeing, and different drivers. So, yeah.
I mean, it was really nice that they got to race wheel to wheel for the couple of laps. And that was great to see. It was similar to what Hamilton and Rosberg did in 2014 at the same track. But what was kind of stood out to me was when Vettel passed him early in the race, he didn't really pull away as we sometimes usually see. He can create a small gap. Not as much as Hamilton usually does, but he can pull away. But he never really pulled away. And
you got 3-4 seconds on him.
That wasn't very much, though. And Leclerc caught him pretty quickly. And it didn't seem like Vettel at all was comfortable with the car. And I think he even said post-race, too, that he still wasn't really 100% happy with where the car was. But Leclerc was, ultimately, because when he got ahead, he pulled, like we were saying, 8 or 9 second gap ahead of whether it was Hamilton at the time, who was P2, or Vettel.
Yeah.
So, and then again, Hamilton, they sort of kind of messed up the pit stop again because Hamilton did come out ahead. But again, the earlier lap, he got by Hamilton. It was a good overtaking maneuver, very close racing. And I think it was the very next lap, just bottles it again, spins off. And I mean, we've seen that how many times in the last 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, he's had a few troubles with losing the front or rear end. It seems like it's one or the other. Journals wheel races, even if there is no contact.
Yeah, and there was no contact. It looked very close. But
it looked, like I said, I thought it was contact, but very close.
But you see the difference between him and Hamilton. Even Hamilton at the beginning of the race, I think he touched Leclerc going into turn 3 or turn 4. But you see Hamilton, he gets his nose in there, but he knows when to back off, and he knows when to keep his head clean, and right place at the right time, he ends up winning the race.
Yeah.
That's why he's the 5-time world champion, and why Vettel could, again, not win the championship this year. Because now the gap is 22 points between him and Valtteri at the top of the championship. I know it's only the second race of the season, but points are really crucial if you're going to fight for the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think it is a little early to read into it. I mean, we saw, just after the summer break last year, when Ferrari was so far ahead, and then Mercedes came all the way back.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's still 19 races left, I mean, you could have 2 retirements for Mercedes, and also, you can have 1 retirement for Mercedes, and if Vettel wins, then he's top of the leaderboard.
Right.
Yeah.
One 25-point swing or a 26-point swing could change everything this early on in the season.
No, I'm definitely not sort of panicking yet for Ferrari's sake. But again, I look at these certain tells, like second race of the year, and they had an MGUH failure. Last year, reliability was one of their strong points, so that's an area that they're going to have to address. Their race pace wasn't that great as it looked like it was going to be earlier in the weekend with how far ahead they had the power advantage on the straights, because Mercedes was able to keep up with them, and Hamilton did a much better job on that second stint on the medium tires. So Vettel, I think Leclerc is going to be just fine. It seems like he's more at home with the car than Sebastian is. So I think Vettel really needs to figure out what the issue is with the setup of his car, because, I mean, he's on the back foot right now. P5 in this race, what was it, P4 in Australia?
Yeah.
Well, it might help Charles a little bit that he's coming into Ferrari for the first time this year, right? Trying a brand new Ferrari, kind of getting used to it, where Vettel's been there for so long. Been, 4 years now?
I think this is fifth. He came in 2015, so
this is 5th year. So, he's been driving a Ferrari for that amount of time and seeing the changes every year. So he might have a little more adjusting to do from the last year's vehicle, where Charles just goes in, brand new car, completely different from the Sauber that he had last year. So I don't know. I think it's just a little bit more of, the used to factor for Vettel.
Right.
Could get seated in, get used to the drive this year. So, yeah.
Do you think that's the same issue that, in saying that, we're seeing on the Red Bull side the complete opposite of that, where Verstappen has changed from last year to this year's regulations very well, and Gasly can't seem to get hold of his car.
With Red Bull, though, it's a completely brand new engine, right? Where last year they had Renault and Honda.
Right, but you're still getting used to a different setup, right?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. Then you could say Gasly, was used to Honda last year.
Yeah, he had Honda last year, right? So
yeah.
I think you bring up a good point. It might be similar because Gasly says that he's just not that comfortable with the way the Red Bull car is set up for him and his driving style. It might be the same for Vettel. But to me, it's weird because he has been with Ferrari for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, what have they gotten wrong there? If Leclerc was struggling like that, I would maybe sort of understand the way Gasly is.
Yeah.
Although, we can get to Gasly later. It might be a bit more than that. So I'm not sure what exactly the issue is. But again, I think that if you're Vettel, you had a lot of pressure coming onto you in this season. I underestimated Charles Leclerc a little bit. I thought he would struggle a lot more, similar to how he did in Australia. I was surprised he got pole position. Obviously should have won this race, which I was surprised. Halfway through the race, I'm like, God damn, he's going to win his first race and his second with Ferrari, and then poof, goes the engine. So
still hurts.
Still. Another moment of silence, please.
Poor Charles.
Bro, I got to say, just wrapping up for Vettel, he has his work cut out for him this year.
For sure.
Because it's not just Leclerc, it's Hamilton. I think Valtteri's still in it. Hopefully Red Bull and Verstappen will eventually come in.
Max, that's what.
Max is ahead of both
Ferraris right now.
In the driver's standings. He's third.
Vettel's chance of a championship with Ferrari might have already passed.
Yeah.
I hope not, because I do want to see him win a championship with Ferrari, but it might be too late. I think Leclerc is going to be much better than I expected this year. I thought he was going to get some wins, some podiums. But to me, I think he's his championship contender for 2019.
Oh, yeah, absolutely is. I think he's a championship contender no matter what. He's in a Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly.
If you put George Russell in a Mercedes, he'd be a championship contender too.
True.
Very good point.
Yeah. Although I do think Leclerc is a very special driver.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I
personally think we're going to see the best of Charles. Well, you saw the best of him today, but I think we're going to see his best race in Monaco still. That's his home race. He's driven on that.
I don't know. I mean, there might be a lot of pressure in that.
Does he? I don't think.
Last year was a brake failure. That's not his fault.
I think Ferrari have been struggling in low speed corners so far this season, so I don't think Monaco will be a great track for them.
We'll see.
That's when I think that's a Max track right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, and I'm a huge Max fan, but I just want him to win at home. I just want to see a driver win at home. It hasn't happened. I don't think it happened last year where a driver won at home. So
who won? Did Lewis win?
Did Lewis win at
Nope.
Silverstone? No, right?
It was
Vettel. Yeah.
No, nobody did.
Yeah.
Vettel bottled his own.
Vettel bottled Germany.
And then
recurring themes.
Yeah.
There's no Finnish Grand Prix, so
nope. Sergio retired in the Mexican Grand Prix, but obviously he's not going to win that.
Race.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
Nope.
No, I was gonna say, like, if you count Austria as Verstappen's home thing,
right?
That's the only thing.
That'd be Red Bull's home.
So so technically,
it's a half win.
It's a half win.
Does Leclerc win a race before Monaco?
How many races to Monaco? 4? 5?
Monaco's race 6.
Race 6? 4.
So
and what's next?
So we have China, Azerbaijan, Spain, then France.
Spain, Monaco.
Oh, is France after Canada?
Yeah.
I think we'll see a podium from Charles.
Are we missing one? I thought there was 4. I thought Monaco's race 6
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
You had it right.
I had it right. So, yeah. No, I figured it out. I didn't pass.
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely see a couple of podiums from Charles. I want him to win. I can't.
Just a reminder.
Yeah,
I did have him winning this race.
I know
in
you
the
did.
preview. Just want to let everyone know.
Did you have him winning or podium?
No, he had him winning.
I said winning.
He did have him winning. Yeah.
Well, you almost look like a genius.
I almost did.
Because you and I had the same predictions. We said Vettel first.
I'm going to take the win on that, though, because he was going to win until his engine blew up. So I'm taking the W on that one.
Yeah, give your props to Tyler McDonald because he got that spot
and that
on.
means that my next bold prediction is... what could it be?
We'll get to that later.
I don't think he wins before Monaco.
Okay. I think he'll... I agree. I think he'll get some podiums.
I think he wins in Canada. And that'll be his first Grand Prix win.
Is that June? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he wins Baku.
Think he wins Baku?
Yeah. That's the race that he won after his father passed away in 2017. Starting, I think he dropped down to 17th, came back to win the race. So I'm gonna go him winning in Azerbaijan.
It's a good pick. Azerbaijan's too risky to pick anything there, so I just didn't go for it.
He could grab a pole, I think, in that track.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I mean, yeah, anything can happen in Baku.
Yeah.
Save those predictions for
we'll save it for the Baku preview.
But. Yeah. But I think we can all agree, Charles, even though he's visibly disappointed, for such a young guy, I think he's a pretty impressive young man. You know, he gave props to his team, and he tried to at least look at sort of the positives out of it. So,
I also mentioned this earlier before we went on, but huge props to Lewis Hamilton. I know I shit on him a lot.
Yeah, we shit on him a lot.
But it was pure class from him. As soon as he finished the race, get out of his car.
He was trying to make everyone like him.
You know. Yeah, he went right to him, gave him a hug, let him know how it was, and then he went to go celebrate with his team. I honestly don't think it was for the fans or anything at that point.
I honestly think we're seeing a little different Lewis Hamilton this year.
I think
we're not seeing a complaining Lewis like we've seen years before. This year, we're kind of seeing him realize it's the tail end of his career and more enjoying what he has going.
He could set a record this year, right?
That's true.
So
I think he's more of a low-key respect. Well, no, he always had respect. So I shouldn't say that.
Well, not if it's Max. But
yeah. But I don't know. I think we're seeing a little different Lewis Hamilton this year. Because you could tell that him with the younger drivers this year is kind of acting as...
more of a mentor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to show them the way a little bit.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
Yeah. No, and even the whole team too. I think they realized just how lucky and fortunate they got.
Yeah,
to get a 1-2. Probably didn't even expect that.
Well,
at all.
Toto didn't even smile. Really.
No, he kind of
you're
right.
Obviously, his celebration is kind of just like a.
It's like we did not earn this whatsoever.
Sure.
I think if it was Vettel, they would have celebrated a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But because it was Charles, everybody's like, he's such a great guy.
Yeah,
he deserved it.
He deserved it. It was supposed to be his.
Just heartbreaking. It was just a disaster once he reported the loss of power, and I mean,
I know you can hear Martin and and them talk in the commentary booth, and it was just automatically like, oh no.
I want to say Crofty jinxed it.
I think he did.
Crofty may have jinxed it. Yeah.
God damn it, David.
He did say it was like 5 laps before that.
It was 40th. Well, yeah, 5 laps before it had happened, but I think it was the 40th lap or something.
Yeah,
where
he was like,
I don't want to jinx it, but I think Charles Leclerc has this one. And then you know what?
Like 5 laps later, his engine goes. Good old commentator's curse.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that.
No.
Second race of the season, especially Ferrari, you don't expect reliability problems. But if you're a Ferrari fan, they find a way to let you down. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
shall we move on to the?
Yeah, I think we spent like 20 minutes on Ferrari.
Yeah, we did. To Red Bull. What's going on with Pierre? Because I'll tell you what, Max raced phenomenal. Yeah. Had a great race. Gasly was ghastly.
Yeah,
I don't get that pun.
I don't know what's going on. I did get that pun.
Thanks.
That was pretty funny, Tyler.
Got it.
This was his track last year.
It was.
Yeah.
If it's the balance of the car he has an issue with, then he has to talk to his engineers and get that balance of the car proper. Because it's unacceptable for Red Bull to be scrounging points. And the only reason he got points was because Renault double retired at the end and blew up.
Yeah, he would have been in, 12th?
No, 12th? He was ahead of Perez.
He was in 10th place in the end. right? Am I looking at this right? No, I'm looking at the wrong
Perez
thing.
Was in
he was
10th.
in 8th. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. He was. So he would have been in point contention.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he would have got 1 point. Oh my god.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
No, not at all. For a Red Bull car to be, that's what, 2 weeks in a row? He's been at last week he was what?
And he hasn't been
12,
fast
13?
at all during the both weekends.
Yeah, Red Bull put a lot of faith in Pierre Gasly starting of this year, and I haven't seen anything from him to say he's the second driver at Red Bull so far.
It could be jumping to conclusions, but do you see him losing his spot this year and Danny Kvyat coming in and the way he's been racing this year, taking Pierre Gasly's spot in Red Bull?
I think if the next 3 or 4 races don't go Gasly's way, I think he's out, in my opinion. If I think he's scrounging for points at by
Monaco?
I think by Monaco. I don't see it. They're sure Red Bull had some DNFs last year, by race 6, but they were both still contending for points.
Yeah.
And if Gasly doesn't step up and get either top 6 or top 8, I don't see him surviving at Red Bull, unfortunately.
I would agree, and me and you were talking about this on the way over. If I had a bold prediction that fits in with the bold prediction I said at the beginning of the season, what if Christian Horner and Red Bull try and finagle Esteban Ocon into their seat?
I don't think he's going with Max.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I want to be really bold,
as Max has said, he's a pussy. So,
yeah.
But you got a really talented driver. Danny Kvyat didn't work out the first time. Maybe you give him a second chance.
Well, I think Danny Kvyat's doing well for what he has.
I think he's
this
doing
year.
very well.
Yeah.
I think he has too. I don't know if it's enough. Like, let's say by Monaco, they want to get rid of Gasly. Do you move Kvyat up right away? Or?
I think that has to be it. I mean, that's how he was treated.
Right. I'm just saying, if they want to be really bold, kind of screw over Mercedes, offer Esteban a good little contract.
There's probably a clause in that you have to stay with Mercedes for the year.
Probably, yeah. Just throwing it out there.
Realistically, I think Ocon, depending on how Valtteri does the next couple of years, he'd want to, sure, he's a backup driver, not what you want to be when you were one of the top 20 drivers last year. But he's in a good position. If he keeps doing pretty well, you could see him move into a bigger team next year or the year afterwards. So, it's hard to say, but I think Pierre Gasly is not going to survive in Red Bull with his performances.
No, he has to step it up, and it has to start next week in China.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Move towards Monaco, Canada.
I don't think I even saw him on the track. I don't think I saw any of the commentators talk about Gasly. I don't even think I think I saw him once, and that was in the middle of the pack kind of thing. And nothing. There was no highlight from him this race. No. Nothing that you could talk about, in my opinion, except for that he did shitty.
If you didn't know that much about F1 and you're tuning in, you're like, oh, how nice, 3 Toro Rossos on the grid.
Yeah.
Only 1 Red Bull's running out there, right? So it's like, I don't know. I said I didn't want to criticize him too much after the first race because it's the first race.
Yeah.
He got kind of screwed in qualifying. Race wasn't that great. I think the fact that Kvyat kept him behind was sort of a bit of okay, that's interesting type of moment.
Yeah.
But then in this race, it didn't really get any better. And Red Bull wanted to be fighting for the championship this year. It doesn't seem like they've necessarily gotten the regulations as good as I thought they would, even though that's sort of one of their main strengths. So with Red Bull, they've shown in the past that they're going to make that change if they need to. But this is a sport where you have to deliver very quickly. Yeah. Charles Leclerc has already delivered, second race of the season. He's good.
And even if Gasly finished 6th, that's acceptable.
Yeah,
that's
no,
fine.
I totally agree. That's totally fine for him, but he hasn't.
And when you look at
close.
And when you look at who's finishing ahead of him, Alfa Romeo,
Lando Norris,
McLaren,
and
we'll get to Lando Norris.
So I totally agree with you guys. I think he's on the hot seat, and I think we maybe mentioned this in previous podcasts. I think it was too early for him, that Red Bull seat.
I agree.
Great season in Toro Rosso, but I think that
another year development.
He's not a Verstappen.
No, he's
Verstappen made that jump, and it was seamless.
Yeah.
Because he's a future world
potential.
champion.
Now, was everyone expecting that jump to be the same, and that's why he's having the results? Or do you think it's just
No,
I wasn't expecting the jump to be the same, but I was expecting the jump to be a little bit better than what's going. Yeah.
But you can tell why they didn't go with Carlos Sainz because you saw it in this race.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz was trying to get a look in, and Max was like, "Who the fuck is this?" Turns in and just takes Carlos Sainz out of the race. So I don't think that relationship probably would have worked out. But maybe Sainz was a better choice. Not really sure, but Red Bull has always gone with that development program. So
speaking of, I just want to talk about the Force India and Red Bull thing that happened this race.
He's making the David Croft mistake.
It's Racing
Point, man.
Oh man,
we were at their launch. Come
Racing Point. It's still a pink car. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I love the little throwback to the Brazil race where Max was trying to overtake. Well, not overtake, but get by Racing Point. And he just wouldn't let him go. Kept on trying to defend. It's like, man, like he's obviously ahead of you. Just let him go.
Yeah, I was okay with it.
It was a fun little moment.
It was a fun little moment. I'm saying nothing against it, but it was nice to see.
I still think it was Max's fault that last year, but that's not the debate we need to get into right now.
Want to fight?
Yeah. I really want to talk about Lando Norris.
Oh, me too.
Because he has looked phenomenal the first 2 weeks, and I think McLaren really have a young stud on their team.
Oh, absolutely. I was messaging Chris right before you guys came over.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Obviously, Charlotte. Because I didn't think you watched the race yet, so I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Fair enough. You're not a dick anymore.
I wasn't going to tell you what was going to happen if you hadn't watched it.
Work it out after the show.
Hey, thanks, Jaker. Appreciate it.
But
I take my comment back.
Obviously, Charles Leclerc was driver of the day. Personally, I think Lando Norris was driver of the day. The kid performed. He kept up with the top 6 drivers.
My driver of the day was Nico Hülkenberg. Obviously, until his engine blew. But
he did have a very good race.
He passed
totally
a lot
agree.
of cars.
Yeah.
He was my driver of the day.
No, totally agree. He did have a really good drive until the very last 4 laps, obviously.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
But Lando Norris stepped up this race. Obviously,
he stepped out last race. Too,
yeah,
though.
he did. But where he landed in 6th position. That's where Carlos Sainz started, wasn't it? He started in 6th.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he started in 13th or 12th or 13th.
No, he was way farther. I think he was 17th.
Look at that.
No, I don't think he was that.
Yeah,
no,
he didn't make it out of Q1. They had
really?
engine mapping issues. He didn't make it out
I'll
of
check
Q1.
qualifying right now.
Oh, jeez.
I'll put my mortgage on the fact that even though I don't have a mortgage.
That's even more impressive.
He was 17th.
That was even more impressive. Damn. 17th was Nico Hülkenberg.
Boom.
Lando Norris was 10th.
I thought you were talking about Norris. We're talking about Lando, not.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Hülkenberg.
No, we were talking about Norris.
That's why I said Hülkenberg's my driver today because he had an unreal drive.
No,
okay,
Lando Norris was 10th. Sorry, he was not 12th or 13th.
Okay.
Pierre Gasly was 13th.
Yeah,
because
the 3 teams to have 2 cars in Q3 was Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren.
I don't know. Maybe it was a little Fernando Alonso luck this week that he showed
it was
up.
nice to see him on the pit box.
No, it was.
I
really
think
nice.
he's going to really mentor Lando.
I think
you could see next year Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris combo.
I actually would like to see Fernando step away from McLaren.
Well, really?
I don't think that it's the best idea to have him test the car this week.
Okay.
Here's why. When I told you this guys before the show too, in the post race, Lando, they asked him, I think Sky Sports did, they were like, so what do you attribute the early success to? Why you guys have improved? And he's like, the drivers.
He said it as a joke because there's no way that he's going to say he's better than Fernando Alonso.
No.
Well, there was also in that Netflix documentary, I don't know if you still finished watching it. They interviewed him at the very end, and they were basically talking about how Danny Kippy, a few other drivers come into F1 really young, and then they don't survive. And they were just like, what do you think is gonna make you basically survive in this year's F1? He's like, I'm better than everybody else.
Well, he is sick at iRacing. I tell him not much.
So
he's confident.
He's confident. I think that's what it comes down to. And yeah, you're right. For 18, 19-year-old kid to be in F1 and doing so well with McLaren, who's got a great history behind them.
Yeah. Is this the kind of the turn of McLaren too? Are we seeing them start to come back and be the McLaren we know? Because this year kind of seems like a big step for them.
I agree with Chris here. I think Fernando needs to step away from McLaren. I just don't think he's a good, like he was obviously did really well for them, but last year I think wasn't a good fit for them at all. I think he was controlling the entire team, and if he's gonna be making comments on how the car is doing, I don't think it's the right person.
Well, that's exactly my point. Is that he's obviously one of the greatest drivers, period, ever. Yeah. And he has a lot of success in Formula One, outside of Formula One. His talent, there's no question about that. And he can give valuable information. But my point is that, like you said, that he holds way too much power over the team. When Eric Boulier left, how much of that was Fernando Alonso's influence?
Right.
The whole team has to work on making Fernando happy, not Stoffel, not Sainz or Lando, whoever he'd be driving with. So I think that stifles the development a little bit. And he's, 34, 35. He's technically retired. So he's looking at the end of his career. But with Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz, they're the future. They're younger guys. So with McLaren, they can easily build a car around these two young drivers. I think they'll have a lot more flexibility because you don't have a guy like Alonso who you're worried about is going to be complaining about this, or when Honda was there, obviously that relationship was, destroyed because of Alonso's comments. He's a very bold personality, and that's tough to manage, I think, sometimes.
Opinionated.
Yeah, very opinionated. And a lot of people at Ferrari, even at McLaren, in past years sort of said that was one of his weaknesses, was because of that. So, to me, I think that...
Maybe he'll just start his own team.
Manage that,
Alonso
yeah.
Racing.
Probably better off doing it that way. But I think that if McLaren wants to turn a new page, which it seems like they're starting to, you kind of gotta... You either got to ask Fernando, what do you want to do here? Are you going to come back? But I don't agree for Fernando to come back next year and kick Carlos Sainz out.
Right. Yeah, it's not fair to Sainz.
And again, Sainz, he was in P6. He was going to have a good race until that incident with Verstappen. Yeah. So McLaren was going to go for a double points finish.
And last week his car literally went on the barbecue.
Blew up. Yeah, exactly. So I like Alonso a lot. He's one of the greatest ever, but I do think that if McLaren want to move forward, they kind of just have to leave it up to the drivers they have now, the personnel that they have now. I don't see... I guess he can give input into the car, but I mean, are you going to change something for Fernando's driving style?
Yeah, he's not going to be the one driving. It's going to be the two drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It was a bit weird to me. What if Fernando comes back and says, this is shit, change... front wing, change this, change that. Are you going to change it? Right. So I don't see what the necessarily point is of him testing the car next week. Why not give Carlos more run time in there, or Lando Norris, whose first season in Formula One, hasn't driven much of Formula One cars outside of testing in the first two races. So I don't know what they want to accomplish here. Not really sure. Other than that, McLaren... a great weekend, I think, regardless of Carlos Sainz.
Regardless of Carlos Sainz. I think they had a great weekend for sure.
No, they really did. Another interesting topic, too, is the Haas car, because they were flying in qualifying. They looked like they could be in top 4.
I actually missed Romain Grosjean's DNF. I don't know what happened.
It was at the beginning of the race. Him and Stroll got together.
What did you think of that? Whose fault?
Racing incident. No one's fault.
Agree.
Stroll was on the inside. It's a tight corner at the start of the race. It seemed like Roman got a little squirrely on the exit and caught him. I think it was just a racing incident. That's no one's fault. And then I guess at the end,
didn't he get a little swirly last year too in a certain race?
I was just because you've watched it, right? I was just picturing Gunter Steiner on the pit wall, fuck me, Grosjean again.
Oh yeah, I stepped away. I think I went to the washroom and I come back and I'm like, wait, what happened? I was literally gone for less than a minute.
Well, because he stayed in the race for a little bit and then they just retired the car.
It was floor damage, I think, right? It was too much floor damage.
Yeah, but it saved the engine too, right?
Yeah, true. For sure. That's very unfortunate.
They had unbelievable qualifying pace.
Yeah.
And they looked very, very good. Even Magnussen said during the post-qualifying interviews, I don't know if you guys saw that, he said, our quality pace is very good, but I'm a little concerned about our race pace. Not that we're going to be, I don't want to be going backwards, but it's going to be tough to stay where we are, is what Magnussen said. And it proved to be true because the Haas struggled during the race, which is unfortunate because I thought Magnussen was going to really do well this race. I thought we could see him up there with Max fighting for fourth.
Yeah, it was 6th and 8th for qualifying for Haas.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Very impressive.
but
very impressive. But
it didn't end up so. So they just need to work on their race pace, because their quality pace has been proven to be very, very good this season. They have the power, obviously, with the Ferrari engine. They have the Ferrari front wing pretty much. It's just putting the race trim together at the end. And maybe that has to do with strategy too, and trying to switch up the strategies, because Magnussen, and they did try to do that this race. Magnussen was on a one stop, which didn't work out. I mean, kudos to them for trying something, because they had to, but wasn't the right one, because the same thing happened with Danny Rick.
Yeah. And I think Haas actually had a small, or I don't know how major, but of an upgrade to the floor near, I think, the rear tires. So it seems like they're on the right track for development this year too. But it's more about, I would agree, it's more about bringing it together. The tight midfield, again, it's going to be interesting. So far, Alfa Romeo is winning that battle. They're currently best of the rest right now. Yeah. And a good race for Kimi Räikkönen.
I was just about to say the same
great
thing.
defending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a really good race for sure.
I think Alfa Romeos, they're starting to find their groove, especially after the first race now. I think, Giovinazzi hasn't had, like a terrific race just yet, but I mean, we're only 2 races in.
It's not a bad race, though.
Yeah. No. And
I also loved Alfa Romeo asking Kimi Räikkönen if his front wing's okay. He's like, I don't know, I can't see it.
Yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah. It's like, what are you asking me for?
Like, you're the engineers here. Like, how am I?
The cameras all over me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great moment. That was a very Kimmy moment for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what I can't do a Finnish accent, but
yeah, he's got Alfa Romeo's 4th now in the championship with 10 points. So
good for them.
Just looking at the midfield right now, it's like super close. You got McLaren in 5th, 8 points, tied with Haas, who've got 8 points, and then Renault 6. Toro Rosso Racing Point with 3. So it's very close so far.
Williams with 18 today and the fastest pit stop.
Yeah, bonus point, right?
Anyway.
But it's going to be good. And it makes it tough for Haas, but Renault has been a disappointment so far.
They'll get everything together, though, I think.
Hopefully.
I hope. Because they've been not the expectations they want to be so far this season. But they've had tough luck. First race of the season, Danny Rick runs over a bad patch of grass. And
so why did you guys remember why Danny Rick left Red Bull?
Well, this is all for 2021, right?
The future.
No, it's because he left because they were he just couldn't finish, right? When he moved to Renault, when he still can't finish.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I feel very bad for him. I'm sure he'll step up with the car a little bit. Obviously, Renault, like you guys said, are having their issues, but
it's like Tyler said, though, for Hamilton, it paid off, right? He had that 1 year where it was so-so with Mercedes in 2013, and then turned out to be the best move of his career.
Yeah.
Now with Renault, I think it's a more difficult situation, but it seems like they've got a lot more in their budget because of the car manufacturer that they have.
Right?
Yeah. So patience. So we're obviously not going to see Daniel Ricciardo, I think, in the podium this season. But
Azerbaijan, you never know.
Possibly. Yeah.
Lance Stroll is on the podium. Like, you never know.
Monaco.
Well, we can do our weekly Lance Stroll update now that he's in a competitive car.
That's right. Yeah, P18.
Yeah,
14,
difficult
sorry,
weekend for
P18
Racing Point.
With what? How many DNFs? 3 DNFs? 4?
4.
4.
4. Yeah, I think Grosjean.
So no, he's P14 with 4 DNFs.
Yeah. Williams is still last, so improvement.
Actually,
from
I don't
last
think
year.
they finished actual last. I think think there's a car behind them running.
Yeah, good for Williams. They haven't finished last this year.
No, they haven't. They haven't finished. Like, reliability is going to get them some points. Reliability will get them points sometime this year. Racing Point, kind of just a blah race. Like, not the pace they expected out of them.
Yeah, for sure.
This race, of course, the incident with Stroll on lap 1 doesn't help your race.
Well, they still got some points.
But yeah, they got points, and then if you're a Racing Point, then
you get a point.
1 point is better than 0.
Right. They're still, I think, learning their car. I
think so too. And they're going to have a lot more development coming down. I think that's going to be a back half of the season car coming up for Racing Point. I think that's when you really see them. It's kind of the opposite of what it usually is.
Yeah.
Toro Rosso.
Albon scored points.
Yeah, he did.
First points, I think, right?
for him. Nothing special, but raced a solid race. And same with Danny Kvyat, raced a solid race.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Danny Kvyat how it felt to be torpedoed.
Yeah.
What was that? I think it was Giovinazzi, right?
Giovinazzi, I got him.
Yep.
Oh well,
it happens.
It happens. It happens to the best of them. And what team are we missing?
I think that's it.
That is it.
I mean, Williams was Williams. They actually got to battle each other. You know.
Yeah.
Dressel overtook Kubica. It seemed fun.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we
what did you say with that? Yeah.
18 points in the DHL fastest pit stop. You know, second. That's pretty good for them.
Yeah, overall, I mean, one of the best
race.
It was a very exciting race.
For race 999 in F1's history, you
Very
have
good.
to put it up there with top 100 races. I don't know.
Very broad.
I don't know. It was very
top
broad.
50,
top
maybe.
50,
Top
maybe.
50,
It was
yeah.
It was a very fun race.
Yeah, I think if you were tuning in maybe as a neutral, especially the first 2 laps, I mean, it was chaotic. Like, especially
everything was
for the
happening.
directors doing the broadcast. You're like, we obviously got to follow the main action at the front, but so much stuff happened in the midfield. So
Yeah. I wonder if for race 1000, is there going to be some sort of like massive pre-race celebration?
I was thinking that too. I feel like they're going to have something pretty big. For
Maybe
this
they'll
next
announce
race.
it next week.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a little bit more next week. But yeah, no, I think so. 1,000 races is big anywhere, you know. 1,000 soccer game, 1,000 basketball game. It's always going to be a big deal. So.
Well, yeah, hopefully that news is out for our Chinese Grand Prix preview show.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be coming up.
I think we'll encompass that in like a 1,000 race sort of special celebration. Maybe we'll just look at some of our favorite moments in the past and look toward the history of the sport. And
Yeah, we could do that.
just a celebration, I guess. Yeah, like you said, 1,000 races is a massive milestone.
Yeah. Another news to keep out for this week coming up this Monday. So will be Mick Schumacher testing in the Ferrari, and the Tuesday it will be the Alfa Romeo.
I think it's the other way,
Is
actually.
it the other way
I think
around?
It's Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday at Ferrari, Wednesday Alpha. Yeah. Anyways, he's in both cars this week, so it'll be interesting to see how Mick does. Of course, it'll be his first real test Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually do a driver of the day at the end too, right? I know me and you have already said ours.
We said ours, yeah.
Yeah, it's you, Chris.
Yeah, I'd go with Leclerc.
Leclerc?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Leclerc for you, Leclerc for you?
No, I said
You
Lando
said-
Norris.
Oh, Lando Norris, right?
That's a good choice.
I think Charles Leclerc is obviously the driver of the day.
Yeah.
But Lando Norris for me personally, great drive for an 18-year-old kid.
Right. And mine is Nico Hulkenberg, and just tough luck for him.
Yeah.
Having his engine literally blow up. That was a big blow up.
It
Yeah, it was.
It was a boom.
That happened towards the end of last year too, didn't it? Something he crashed pretty badly.
Oh yeah, no, he got flipped.
Was it flipped?
Yeah,
Yeah, last race.
yeah.
Yeah, last race of the
season.
season, right? Yeah, okay. I thought something pretty big happened with him last year too.
Well, Shaker and I forgot to put our F1 fantasy lineup in because we got busy. But
I have no idea
Chris,
what mine
no,
is.
it's on.
you got yours
I
in.
forgot.
It's not too late to join though, because I think our registration closes after the Chinese Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So you have technically 2 more weeks to get your entries in. All the sign up codes are on our social medias, and we may as well throw it in the description below.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. We'll put up the fantasy league just on the screen with the code, and then you guys can join there. So yeah, we'll extend that deadline. I think you can still change your team up until free practice, because I forgot on Thursday, and I took a look at it on Friday and was still able to submit my team. So
Perfect.
that's good there. So yeah, that'll be something a little fun to keep out throughout the season. What else? I think that's about it for the housekeeping things. We just put up our podcast again on iTunes, so we reloaded the link essentially so that only our podcasts are going to the iTunes feed, because before it was like every video we uploaded.
Gotcha.
So if you're an Apple user, I think you guys are both Apple users.
Yeah.
Then you can subscribe through there and listen through there. Obviously, YouTube is our main platform, so subscribe to us here, but also you can find it on iTunes, and I think it's available on most podcast apps as well. If you just want to listen to audio only, then that's the way for you to do it.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Cool. Anything else from Bahrain, from race number 999?
No,
Did I say that right?
Circuit.
999,
Yeah.
Pretty sure Matt from WTF1 is jumping off a bridge right now.
I know, poor guy.
Matt, if you're listening, tell us how you keep going to these races, man.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
I want in. Take me with you.
Yeah, geez. If you need any camera operators or just
Some support, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going.
yeah, like I heard like somebody invited him like Exxon Mobil or something like that, or Mobile
Is
One.
Exxon Mobil?
He actually got to drive a Renault car.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
If you haven't checked that out, actually go to WTF1's channel. It's pretty cool to see the perspective of a normal, average Joe.
Yeah,
get the chance to drive an F1 car and their reaction to driving it. And it's a fantastically well put together video. So
he drove Formula E as well.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. One day.
It's a great channel over there.
No,
it's a big channel, and it's a very good channel.
They're doing great things. I have a lot of respect for that channel.
It's cool because really I found like a video. Well, the first time I sort of came across them was like still in their early days when they were doing it. So to see like how far they've gotten is really cool.
Well,
so
I was actually subscribed to Matt's YouTube channel before WTF1, his gaming channel, X-Man AG it was called, I think. So he stopped that channel to do WTF1, obviously, and like transferred over myself over there because I loved his videos. If you want a good laugh, his old like F1 video game videos are hilarious. They'll have some good banner there. I've been following him around and they've done a fantastic job over there. That's
our aim. That's our goal for us too.
Yeah.
Eventually grow the channel and you'll see us at races.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the video game, they're releasing F1 2019
in June this year.
Nice. 2 months early.
And did you see they're including F2 cars?
I know, I'm so happy. Career mode will be very, very cool this year.
Very nice. Well done, Codemasters. I think it says they've been working on it for 2 years. So
it's going to be fun. A fun 2019 game.
Something to do over the summer break too. That was my biggest problem I had is the game got released afterwards, but now you'll have...
I don't understand that. Most like sports games come out like weeks before.
Well, it's because they have to do the I don't know. I feel like you have to get the specs of each car, right?
I guess so. Yeah, they release your stuff pretty late. Where like soccer or basketball, the team lineups are already
and you can just
they're decided.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see that process of how they get, because the games are getting so much better and so much more realistic. So it'd be interesting to see what the 2019 cars handle like.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. All right, boys. I think that's it from Bahrain. So, we got 2 weeks until we hit China for the third race of the season and race number 1,000 overall. So that will be a special race to watch.
Big party.
We'll do the same.
Maybe Martin Garrix will be there because he's always at big party events for F1, I find.
Or did you see Martin Brundle screw up Guy Ritchie with his bodyguard? Or his brother, I think.
No.
He went to talk. He's like, Guy Ritchie. He's like, who you cheering for today? And he's like, I'm not Guy. He's like right over there.
That's funny.
I think it was his brother or something. They look very similar.
That's hilarious.
Poor guy. Well. I didn't even know who he was, so fair enough actually knowing who he is.
I don't really know either. David Beckham was there.
Yeah, he would look very good.
I know. He always does.
Nice suit.
God damn it,
he's like 45.
Oh, man, he's...
Man rocket.
Yeah, he's always looked good. I just don't get it.
He's a good looking dude.
Yeah. Total mad respect for David
and
Beckham.
for a British guy too.
Still got the teeth all going.
Yikes, that's big shirts.
Just saying, it's fact.
Man, we as Canadians just get drunk and drive in the snow everywhere. We're out for a rip.
Well, speaking of that, when this is released, it's April 1st, and we had some snow and freezing rain over the weekend. So. Yeah,
Canada to the fullest.
I'm hoping
by
they
June, don't race in June.
We'll have dry conditions.
So with these conditions, it might still be snowing in June when it comes around.
Yeah, exactly. Well, story for another day for the weather. But that's it for us on episode number 40. Again, thanks for joining us. You hit that subscribe button below and also the notification button. I know a couple other YouTubers and people following. We're not sure when videos are getting released. So if you hit that bell, you get a notification, and then you guys can stay up to date with our podcasts. And our little studio here is sort of coming together nice and slowly.
Slowly but surely.
Only 2 cameras this week. We're 1 camera down, so we'll get 1 more back for China. But we're coming together nice and slow.
Yeah.
Already into the 3rd race of the season, so looking forward to it.
Sign off.
Gentlemen. Thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for China. See you, everybody.
See you.